Got it.
Right.
And I'm going to record too. Awesome. Hello, Catherine. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm fine. It's been a long old day over here in the UK. So information coming on from everywhere, but I'm doing good, thanks.
Awesome. I've got Catherine Edwards here from the UK, and a lot of my viewers already know I do Wednesday mornings with her. What, for over a year, hasn't it been, Catherine?
Yeah, it has. It's probably been about a year and a half now. I can't believe how long it's been going. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's great because we get to touch base, you know, over the pond and understand what's going on in each other's countries. It's been very enlightening. I wonder, just in case some of my viewers don't know who you are, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, Catherine?
Sure. Yes. Well, I am just an ordinary person from the UK. I've been in natural health care for years, biologist, but moved very much into natural health care, working with animals and humans. And because of my work with that, I've been very well aware of the censorship in the natural health field for a long while. So when this all started happening, sort of 2 years ago now, as a mum of 2- and 4-legged family members, I was very suspicious about what was going on and started diving in a lot of areas that I've never researched before. So on the medical side of things, I was pretty well aware of what was going on, but I certainly had no idea what was going on politically, financially, in loads of other areas that we've discussed. And I started listening to different people that obviously I hadn't spoken to before, and have really spent the last 2 years just asking questions, because I've noticed a huge mismatch in terms of what we're seeing in real life and what we're being told, basically.
Oh, yeah. So true, Catherine. I mean, so you'd say you woke up right around like it sounds like you were a woke person anyway, but right around the pandemic sort of lockdown situation?
Yes,
Like
I would say that's when most of my identity, I think for a long, long while, for at least sort of 20 years, I've been very well aware of the issues around these medical issues, have never trusted a politician in my life, and actually hadn't been watching the mainstream media for at least 10 years because I knew that that was not reflecting at all. You know, there was very much an agenda for that. I've never really been much of a TV person. But then there was an exponential increase in my awakening 2 years ago as I got introduced to new people and saw how many other people were questioning what was going on. And what I hadn't really appreciated, Janine, is just the extent to how it all linked together and how there were so few people at the top of this pyramid, or as I like to think, at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't like to think they're the top of anything. Yeah.
Right. I agree. You know what? That sounds really like we're on par there. Like that sounds a lot like how I would describe sort of what happened, because I was kind of awake to some things. And then it just really all popped together. I absolutely agree. The medical system's been repressing real medicine, real healing. And so if you've been involved in that end of it, you'd know full well what they've been up to for that, and that includes animal care. Because I know you know a lot about that.
And what they've done to our food supply, our water supply, our air, obviously all the EMF side of things, because I've had lots of different careers which didn't seem to match together. But now in hindsight, I can see how each little bit is given a different bit of the jigsaw puzzle. And I've just loved it, Janine. I've loved, speaking to people like you, all the other interesting people that we speak to, because everyone's got a different bit of the jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, you bet they do. What I find fascinating is when I talk to people from other countries, like for instance, the UK, we're all having, like the whole world's having the same issues. Like it brings everyone closer together and helps us realize we're like one people, even though we don't want to be governed, in a one world sort of government. That's not what I'm saying. But as a human race, we can really understand. We're all having the very same issues with our governments, with our medical system, with our school systems. It does tend to bring us together. And even if it's right now just online, I feel like I made a friend, you know what I mean? I'm making friends, and I'm hoping you're one of them.
Yeah.
You know, because we're going to need each other. According to some sources, we could get more gut punches here. We'll talk about that a little later. Tell us what's happening in the UK right now. I think your government's unraveling. I mean, like all of our governments, but just give us a little lowdown.
Yeah, it's so interesting, Janine. I agree with you. The beauty of speaking to people in all the different countries and area of the world is, again, another example of what we're being told on our media isn't matching what people are sounding the ground. So in a little way, I'm not the best to sort of explain what's happening, because throughout this whole thing, I've ignored it all really as much as humanly possible. But certainly, our government is really unraveling. You know, there's so much coming out in terms of, yes, politicians have always had scandals associated with them, but this level of scandal is pretty unique. Obviously, it coincided with us UK leaving the EU as well, which was now looks like that was a big part of the jigsaw puzzle in the long-term planning as well. Yeah. So there's a lot of scandal regarding the government, who they really are. Well, we've asked the cards out loads of times. A lot of scandal coming out, obviously, about the royal family. And up until really our royal family have been pretty untouchable, really. There's always been rumours going on. And of course, there's been divorces and affairs like you get in any royal family. But obviously, with the Prince Andrew stuff really hitting headlines now, that's a new level of scandal that we probably haven't seen before, hasn't been talked about openly. And the interesting thing, I think the same, Janine, probably as where you are in Canada, there's huge differences in terms of where you are in pockets. So in one respect, whether you want to call it the Await the Truth of movement, is pretty huge in the UK. And we've got some brilliant doctors and lawyers and people from all walks of life really standing up and really trying to beat the drum. I mean, we were sort of some of the first to have the mass protests in London, which have grown and grown and grown. Yep. But then on the other side of things, we've got a lot of compliance. We tend to be a nation that gets on and does things and sort of almost a bit does what we're told. But for the greater good, you know, very much everything for the greater good. And that's been really played on, and you can see the results of that. And there is still a lot of compliance. And the other thing we are seeing, which I think, again, you're seeing in other countries, is you might have the news come out. You and I have discussed this, which sort of says, right, all restrictions in England have been dropped. And then when you read the small print, it's not that at all. And it can be quite different. Yeah. So again, it's become very apparent for how long most of the population can be fooled by not concerning ourselves with the details.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. You're right, though. The headlines are very misleading. And it's further like discouraging when you find out, okay, they're saying this, like they said right away, Alberta's were going to get dropped. They're going to discuss it today. Yeah. That remains to be seen. It remains to be seen if Saskatchewan really drops theirs, or do they just switch it for some kind of online, censoring. I mean, it's just scary. Like things are scary, and I get that people are worried right now. I really get that. So that's why we thought we'd jump on. Maybe we can help. Maybe we can answer some questions, from higher universe and just our own intuitions. Did you have some questions about the UK you wanted to ask me?
I have. I've had some brilliant questions sent in for people, and it's so lovely. Thank you so much for doing a UK focus, because I think it's so much needed, because obviously throughout this a lot of the focus has understandably been on the USA. But so the first question, this weekend it was the Platinum Jubilee for Queenie, so 70 years supposedly that our Queen has officially been on the throne. And we had lots of videos doing the round of her with her celebrations. There were gun salutes. Interestingly, in by Tower Bridge was one of the locations. We know Tower Bridge is, well, no, it's London Bridge, isn't it? The code word. So one of the main questions at the Platinum Jubilee announcement, the Queen announced that Camilla would be accepted as Queen, which is a real new thing. That's never happened before. So everyone suddenly, what's happening? Why is, you know, we didn't think the Queen was around anymore. Why is she announcing Camilla? It's thrown a lot of questions up. So could we ask the cards? I think you and Jean-Claude did a question, and sort of, I think I'm right in saying that your one from last night said that it wasn't the Queen, it was CGI or something else. But can we ask where this Camilla link comes in? Why are they saying Charles and Camilla now as successors?
So it looks like it's white hat type op. So that's my white hat. And then we've got the world. So it's like they're bringing something to a conclusion. And they're planning on, so this is in the past, at least three of the elder royals are gone. So we know Philip, we know, I believe, Queen, you know, we don't know, but that's my opinion. And maybe even Charles.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. And surrender. Okay. So it feels like they're covering their butts in case they want to use or go forward, or they're not ready to admit all of those people are gone, because these cards are in the past. Surrender to, it's not time to maybe bring that out. It could be too devastating. They got other things they want to do first, something. We don't know exactly how these, you know, like what I call the alliance thinks. Okay, but this card indicates that's the alliance up to this. So they're the ones putting this forward. Lots of secrets going forward. I think they're in place, and like what Jean-Claude and I, because we thought we better do a little look last night just on everything, but it looks like there's all kinds of, they could have even filmed some of the Queen before she left. I mean, that's, or they're using CGI like they did with lots of the footage you see of Mr. B. You know, so many tricks. Like that card's literally some trickery, and I get her as somebody who's played her before. So some of those shots might have even been a really good double of her. And you were saying, Catherine, that you thought she looked a lot like the Queen you knew.
Yeah, absolutely. Not that I knew her personally, but I had seen her over the years at various horse events and things, but then that was when she was quite a lot younger. And again, this has been one of the beautiful things of this, is really making people question. You cannot believe what you're seeing on being told on the TV. Just because it's on the news doesn't mean it's remotely true. So I further said, okay, give me two more to explain why she would be saying that, because she's not really known to be, as far as I knew, and I could be wrong about this, so correct me if I'm wrong. She wasn't that fond of Camilla being Queen, like, or the people weren't, at least. Isn't that true? Yeah, I mean, the Queen hated Princess Diana. But she knew that the people were really for her. So there's never really been there was certainly never been announced that Camilla would be Queen ever. That was completely a bolt out of the blue, as far as I'm aware. It
looks like, so they're putting things out there. So this is clarifying things in case they need it. So it looks like a safety measure in case they need somebody to take the place of, because my thoughts are they might announce Prince Charles. I mean, they've been also signaling he's not doing good, and I don't believe he's with us anymore because of that Three of Swords in the past, but just for all intents and purposes, they haven't announced that he isn't with us. So they need to do that. So in case they did, okay, then they got Camilla. She could be the Queen. I mean, I think they're just posturing in case they need to run things like that.
Yeah, like my understanding is she couldn't be the Queen unless Charles is still around.
Oh, is that right?
Again, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it would only be that she would be Queen when Charles was king, sort of thing, is my understanding. But again, people will, I know everyone will correct us below if I've got that wrong.
Let us know if you know for sure, but it looks like they're putting it out there for safety and caution.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not exactly sure what that means. So I'll just leave it there. And I'm sure people will mention below about the rules around that, because I'm sure there are some, but don't forget, they've been breaking all the rules. All the governments have been breaking all the rules. So it's not, right? We don't know.
Yeah. Now, can we also ask, I mean, I'm sure I know the answer to this question, but you know nothing anymore. Nothing ceases to surprise me. Can we ask, I'm assuming that Camilla is not on the good side.
I think I looked at this before. Okay, so she knows about the bad side, but she knows what's going on, but she just doesn't basically care. Like, so she's okay with it, but not to say she's actually involved.
Right.
Well, that's interesting, but she definitely knows about it. She's well aware of it, but managed, so this is the outcome, managed to keep separate. So she doesn't look like she's going to the rituals, or at least involved in them. If she's showing up, she's not doing the things. Wow. So I don't know, maybe they keep some people like that on purpose, or somehow she's strong enough of a character to not, I don't know why that is, but it looks like she's not, she wouldn't be doing, you know, this sort of things we've got picked up on.
Yeah.
With Philip and the Queen and Charles and Andrew and yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting.
Right? So that is interesting. And I think I got that before, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
We looked at all of them and she was the least,
yeah,
and the most likely still with us. So that's another thing. Maybe they needed a live person that they could call Queen. But again, people will write in the comments below. But we don't know if they're going to stick to protocol, because they really haven't been really, if you think about it, for the last 2 years. I don't know why more people aren't talking about it. They're not doing anything right. The Queen hasn't been wearing the regalia she usually does. She hasn't been showing up in, you know, Parliament the way she used to. There's a whole bunch of things. The palaces aren't being lived in, it looks like it's too weird, right? So, you know, maybe they're throwing all of that out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this is the thing is, you know, what they're mentioning, what the rules do, particularly with the government as well. It just bears no resemblance. Yeah. So the next question is for, and again, we've spoken about this a lot of times before, but it's come up so many times today. Scotland has got the wonderful Nicola Sturgeon in there as their head. Now she is still keeping the restrictions in place, unlike the rest of the UK. So what on earth is this contrast in Scotland, where you've got Nicola Sturgeon is not falling into line and releasing the restrictions like supposedly the rest of us? And I'm saying supposedly because we've no idea what's coming.
And when you say he's not following in line, are you saying she? That's a she?
Yeah, Nicola.
Okay. Nicola. Are you saying there she's for the people, or?
No, I mean, she's by all accounts an awful woman, but she is still, she's not lifting the COVID restrictions in Scotland.
I see. Okay.
So England have, Ireland are looking at it. Wales, I'm not quite sure where they're sitting because I haven't heard from anyone in Wales for the last week, but Scotland, she is sticking to her guns and keeping those restrictions in place.
Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking she might be puppeted with that card, and they're making a play here. So they're pushing the envelope there, like they do in Australia. They're doing it in Austria. They seem to choose areas where the government really digs their heels in. I mean, Canada is one of those places.
Yeah.
We dig our Mr. Trudeau there. He's dug his heels in really bad too. So I'm thinking there, but this card says they're puppeted, like what you're seeing is part of the movie. So, you know, it's maybe going to wake more people up, or that's an they've chosen these areas that spotlight how draconian this bunch can be, is what I get from looking at those cards.
Yeah. Don't know anyone that likes her. I really don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know how they even agree. Like, they must really have stuff over these people to even agree to be continually putting the pressure on, like they have with such, they must be getting like the hate mail and the threats. And I can't imagine being a politician right now, and I'm not feeling sorry for them, trust me. But can you imagine? So they had the bad guys, so the deep state controlling them. Now they got what I think is a shadow government controlling them. It's like they're literally just
Yeah,
getting
it's just the most bizarre thing. It really
is,
isn't it? It
we're
really is.
living in the weirdest times ever.
Yeah. Now going back to summer last year, summer 21, it was doing the rounds on all the sort of people we listened to that the UK government had been dissolved and was bankrupt, and that there were papers to sort of show that was the case. And of course, to all intents and purposes, to the public, it's all still going and business as usual. So what can the cards tell us that was all about? So why were they saying that, you know, the UK government had been dissolved at Companies House and that it was bankrupt, etc., and yet we've not heard anything about it since?
Interesting. This card came upside down.
Right.
So they put the information out there for people who are paying attention, but they're not ready to officially admit that. Okay, so they're going to use that. I think they're going to use it because that card's so they're blocking, but it's upside down. So they are letting you see that it's blocked.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, it's for people to pay attention. Like, they want you to wake up and go, wow, what about this back here? They did that with the US and the Canadian governments as well. So we're meant to question and even wonder if they even have any power, or why are we even listening to them anymore? I think it's all a wake-up call, because that's what that card is, literally a wake-up call. Look at the trumpets there. It's like waking up from our slumber that these guys have any power over us. Seriously, they're not representing the people right now. And they're literally, it appears, mass, what-ing them, taking them off the earth plane. That's what the plan looks like it was. So why on earth would we even why aren't we just, not listening to them? Like, I don't get it. It's like,
absolutely.
I haven't been for years, but you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it is bizarre how it's still allowing to carry on.
Yeah. So they're watching. Okay. So this card came in the middle, watching what people will do and who's going to notice. And they're like, they being, I believe the Alliance has a lot of very evolved energy helping and guiding them. That's what I think. Doesn't feel human ego. When I channel that energy, it feels like the higher level of it is not, it may be human, but it's really evolved. So it feels like those galactic helpers, for lack of a better word, because I don't know exactly for sure.
Yeah.
If that's what they call themselves, but that's the energy I get. So there's this evolved, very detached energy that's helping humans evolve and watching over and going, okay, what are they going to do with this? How should we push over here? What happens when we do this? Who's going to notice? How many people notice? I feel like this whole trucker thing really woke up a lot more people, but not enough maybe, but a lot more, people all over the world are starting. It's like it gave us a little reprieve. Now we were hoping this could be it, but I'm thinking maybe not now from some of the things we're hearing about what you were saying. They're kind of gearing up over where you are. It seems like for a whole nother funny illness or something. Is that what you were sort of picking up?
So that leads nicely on to the next question. So I've had so many people from all over the UK over the last week message me telling me that they're seeing so many chemtrails in the sky. Now, we've looked at this before and your cards have said that it's nothing nasty they're spraying, But they've also, there's a lot of these people have been reporting that their dogs haven't been very well, that they've had coughs and felt ill after having been out of them. Now, of course, that could be mind over matter, particularly with the humans, because if you're the type of person that knows about a chemtrail, you're going to have a certain perception of what that might or might not do to you. But it wouldn't explain why the dogs are or the horses and things. Can we ask, have there really been an increase in chemtrails over the last couple of weeks, and is it a good or a bad plan?
Okay, now you were even saying personally you noticed your horses were reacting, and they're very sensitive creatures.
Not mine, but I've had other people saying that their horses were reacting. I've, touched wood, been quite lucky and not had many chemtrails over me, but I do live in the middle of nowhere.
Yep. Okay, so now this might be unpopular, but to the good. Okay, none of these cards look like they're the bad kind. I know that sounds absurd. If you're experiencing them, it's going to be hard. But this card says, so they're looking at, so we're looking at, we got the 3 of Wands, again, watching and looking over and going into new territory. So the chemtrails themselves are being used in a totally different way. This is interesting. She receives abundance. So it could even be something helpful to humans instead of bad for them. So that's interesting. Maybe they're gearing up. This might sound crazy, but getting us prepared because we are going to get hit with something. And I would, don't forget everybody who's been double that and some boosted that, and then there's even triple that in some places. And now they're even saying, and I shared this all over my social medias, they're even saying that triple one, this person put it out there that you should go get tested for AIDS if you've had the triple, because people are finding that's what's happening after that.
And surprisingly, did you hear the news today, Janine? It might have come out a few days ago, but I only heard it today. I think it's the Netherlands or Norway. I just heard it quickly before we came on. Are announcing a new strain of HIV that's much more prevalent and much more thing. Well, what a coincidence! What a coincidence!
That's the one. That's the one. The guy was from the Netherlands, and he was saying, and I had it all over my social medias. I put it up there a couple times so people would notice it on my Telegram, in particular, Tarot by Janine channel, Telegram. That's what it's called, the word channel at the end. And they were saying, sue your government because guess how you got this new strain of that horrible.
This was a different report to that. This wasn't that from that point of view. It was from the opposite. It was the government saying, oh, there's suddenly a new strain of HIV around that's going to start infecting everyone and is much more difficult to get. So it was the opposite end of that, which was
got it. Awful. So they're posturing.
But yeah.
Like, so where do these things just come right out of the blue? Like
exactly.
Really?
Probably another bat.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. So on a similar note then, at the start of the rollout of that we had the Oxford AstraZeneca one, which was one of the first ones released in the UK. And then there was a lot of publicity about it causing blood clots. And so it's been virtually dropped everywhere, and it was never approved by the EU, and it was never approved by America. So and there's a big reports out this week in the press about how it's almost like racist against the UK version. So why did they pick on that one, the Oxford AstraZeneca? Why was that picked on as the one to be publicised as having the side effects? So now everyone in the UK is getting the other ones, which we all know are equally or if not worse.
Well, it was definitely a strategy.
Hmm.
And then we've got the, so they had to, I think they have to pick on one. I think that was a bad guy strategy because this card came up. So that feels like early days when that happened, maybe. Bad guy strategy. And they knew they were going to get issues. So they had to pick one to take a fall. So they knew then it would take attention away from those other ones and help them strengthen their sales, maybe.
Yeah.
It feels like, so the strategic card here, and this is who did the strategy. So it was a bad guy strategy at the beginning. And this feels like, because, you know, they knew things were going to come up, so they needed to focus on one of them. So you don't, you can still push the other one. So they chose that one to take the fall. They probably paid them out too.
Yeah, I mean, that really makes sense, because, you know, if everyone can say, oh, it's all right, I didn't have that one because that's the one that's got the side effect, then it implies that the others haven't, which we all know isn't true. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So, yeah. Okay, just a couple more on the things. So, going back to the UK government, Boris Johnson has lost a lot of his staff members over the last month because of all these scandals that are coming out. And again, I'm saying Boris Johnson in inverted commas. But his new communications director that he's just appointed has described him as not a complete clown. Not a complete clown. Now, if you've got a new employee, that's not a very flattering way to describe your new boss. So can we ask, and apparently it's reported, and it's so ridiculous, that when he appointed him, Boris Johnson sung to him part of Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive.
Yep.
So is this more of the just ridiculing Boris and making him look ridiculous? Or is it completely made up?
Wow. Again, it looks like it's put out there and then watch to see the response. So they're waiting to see the response. And from this detached place of seeing, what are people going to do with this? Is this going to take off? How are they going to handle this? I don't know if that makes any sense to you. And then this was in the background, which is again, can be my alliance card, my positive army card, and or military.
Yeah, because it all seems a bit of a red herring, doesn't it? I mean, again, it's no coincidence that your Mr. Trudeau's gone into hiding. Our Boris is just getting ridiculed left, right and centre. But of course, we don't want them just replacing them with another puppet of the system. We don't, that's not to achieve anything. So can we ask where we're at with that?
That kind of leads into what we were getting last night, Jean-Claude and I. We were getting that part of this is that they don't want things to just, like, they do want to expose everything at a deep level. And it's very tricky how you can do that to the whole world, that all of their systems are corrupt. That's huge. Like, we might be open-minded enough and evolved enough humans to get that. But I'm telling you, when I try to tell that to even really intelligent friends / family members, I am literally called insane. Nobody's even talking to me right now. Okay, so it's like, so that, like, I've lost all credibility to those people because I would even mention that is ludicrous to those. So there's a whole lot of people thinking that what we're talking about is nuts. Okay, so I get that.
Also, I would say in the UK with the royals, because even a lot of people that realize the whole disease narrative has been completely corrupt and nuts, they still will not have a word said. So we've got some really prominent people, you know, exposing how we've all been done by the whole virus thing. But even they won't have a word said against the Queen.
Yeah. So
that's too far for them.
Yeah. And that kind of leads us into the discussion we wanted to have about the Federation of Light Channeling. I just wanted to make sure I got Blossom Goodchild.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody believes the Federation of Light is legit. Of course, I got lots of emails with people saying they don't think it is. I did channel it a long time ago, a couple of times, and got that it was. You know, but that's just what I got. So it's just my opinion based on what I was getting. I don't follow Blossom Goodchild. Do you? Do you follow her? I
don't, but I've been sent quite a lot of her stuff by some really kind listeners. So I got sent the latest stuff this weekend at the same time as you did. Right. So I had a look at that.
Yeah.
And
because that
then
is just,
drunk a big glass of wine.
yeah, it's what got you and I thinking we need to chat, because it's, you know, not what we'd want for sure.
Yeah.
But I did listen to it twice, and it does have some really good, like, I gotta say, I align with the idea that humans need to learn to deeply trust greater universe. It's really hard to, but I learned it the hard way my whole life by just the thing. Every time I was in a bind, and there was a lot of times I was in lots of binds, I would just trust deeper and deeper, and the universe always provided what I needed. And I deeply, the more I felt secure and loved, the more I was secure and loved. And that's how I really do deeply know, you know, the channeling did resonate with what I believe in my deep heart. And I think part of my work in this isn't really intel, because, you know, tarot talks on a level that isn't like necessarily intel, kind of talks in parables in a way. And it all does talk sometimes way in the future, and you think it's right now. And, you know, so it's got it's a certain energy. It's certainly not like a news intel type thing. But the thing that I love about it, what I've been doing and what I think I can provide, is I can provide or remind people to trust deep in their inner selves, not in exterior people saving you, or not in, but that you are a human and have the right to live here and have a good life. If you can get to that knowing in your deep heart, you can get through this in the really big picture. And this is what this channeling, what I really got from it was, you got to see the really big picture here. This is necessary. And I'm hoping all of the details aren't true about it. I'll tell you that, because I don't like it, but I do get that part that it was saying, and I do believe that in my heart. How do you feel about what you heard there?
I mean, again, there are bits that I really resonated and bits that I didn't. I think the bit that I've got the most resistance to is, I think it's a very dangerous game if personally, I don't resonate with being told that we've got to go into another lockdown globally that's controlled by the white hats, because for me that's a very, very risky strategy, because you know, you don't know it's controlled by the white hats. And I think we've come so far along the road with the truckers, with all the PURIUM things, with the legal cases that are quite well advanced, the rainophthalmic teams one, the ones that we've got in the UK and all the other areas, that to do that, to me, that didn't resonate with me.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's other ways of doing it, and I would personally feel very nervous to be told, don't worry, it's in your own good.
I totally I get that. I totally get that. I agree. Like, I didn't like hearing it. It was like offensive to me. But there was things about it that I kind of been getting in a way. No, I did get there was going to be an incident of some kind. I never got it was going to be another, you know, viral thing. That part really I didn't like hearing. It's like, really, do we need to do? There's so many other ways. I would think you might be able to pull off another lockdown. I would prefer they just step out of the shadows and say, we got to take over these governments because they're messing with you. But I get that members of my family and all the people I know that are asleep would not understand that. They would not. Therein lies the problem. Okay, so I kind of get that, but man, I sure didn't think another illness was the way to go. I wouldn't do it that way, but I don't know. Right, because what I was picking up on was that everybody would be exposed through that, and possibly what it could be about, and this would be the best case scenario, and they did say it would be short. Okay, but what does that mean coming from the universe? Because I don't know about short, like we've been told. What's short? You know what I mean? In eternity, what's short? Okay, so what do they mean by that? But I am going to channel them for a sort of a last message for us, if that's okay with you. But I think that'd be cool. But just my thoughts about it, and I was feeling into it last night and today. And I was getting, okay, they do need to expose that this was all done to us by those governments. And they can't just step away and put new people in. It has to all change from the ground up. And the only way to really, other than literally civil war all over the world, which I don't think would be a good idea, could last for years. And depending on the place, some places just wouldn't get it and other places would. That might be why they got to do it this way, to expose all this goings on, bring out one more thing, and then actually prove it was what was done to us, who created that. That's where I tie in what that fellow was saying from the Netherlands that I shared. He was saying, like, look into, if you got 3 of those, the stuff that might happen to you. And they're also saying that cancer is hugely on the rise. And personally, in our family, we're having issues there.
Yeah.
Like, literally and Jean-Claude's having issues with friends.
Yeah,
and I'm seeing a huge spike in those kind of issues just in my little, dealings with my
doesn't
people.
make sense to me with that. I completely get what you're saying, but we're saying we want to avoid civil war. But for me, if there's one way that's really going to set everything off, is the realization of what's been done to you or your loved ones.
Yeah.
So if they then expose it through there, it just seems a very negative vibration in terms of, how can I express it? There's got to be, when there's a big reveal, if we're going to move forward energetically, I would hope it would be a reveal with something positive, not so negative. And then the negative could filter through when people were on an upward rise. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I like
that. I'm not running the show, so let's see what the channeling shows.
Okay.
And you were also saying about, which we can ask after the channeling, is there anything else we can do as a collective to influence it?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just literally going to channel what we're calling the Federation of Light and just ask them, okay, give us a little more on that. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, so this comes up, and this, so we're facing a lot of people leaving the earth plane. Now that's been talked about a lot with what Cliff says, with lots of learned people are saying, and it's already happening according to people in the funeral industry, in different industries. Even that fellow you were talking to in the funeral industry was talking about, things are ramping up. We're seeing that with sports figures dropping. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to get into any more trouble talking about it right now. So I'll just leave it at that. But you guys know what I mean. So large numbers already with the booby trapped batches. So I really believe a lot of those batches were not harmful.
Yeah.
But I believe the more you play with it, like getting more and more, the more you're likely to get in trouble. Okay, so, like it's like playing Russian roulette with your health. So, and this card here says the 3. So looking at this happening, okay, but what's likely going to happen is they're going to need to explain that, because a lot of people are going to blame it on other things other than they did that to themselves and their kids and their family members, and encouraged others to do that. That's going to be hard pressed for people will distance themselves. I'm already seeing it in my family. Like I'll just say a family member all of a sudden is riddled in cancer and already had an issue a year ago, and it looked like was on a reprieve maybe for some years from it. The minute they got second one of those, boom. Okay, but everyone in the family is ridiculing, my version, which is, okay, it's because of, they're all like, no way. Okay, and I've heard this from so many people. So it has nothing to do with what you're doing to yourself. These things all of a sudden happening, like that palsy thing that happens. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm saying that right. Like
Yeah.
so many people, I even know people personally who that's happened to after their first or second. And guess what? No, they absolutely go down with no way does that have anything to do with something I did to myself.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're having a lot of trouble. So it has something to do with the passing over of a lot of people looking at that in the next 3 months. That's going to be a big issue. Okay, so now we've got in the past, we've got the 5. So not enough people are aware, like this feels like there's short numbers here. There's short numbers of people that are, and it's happening slower than they wanted. Also, the numbers of waking up, even through I believe when we look at what happened with the truckers and everything, that's still like, when I go around to shops, I will talk about it. I'll walk in shops without a, you know what on, and I'll say, there's a lot of truckers in Ottawa fighting on our behalf, blah, blah, blah. I've been doing it all week. And guess what? Almost nobody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So there's anyone that's still watching mainstream has no clue. So it's too slow. Okay. So this is the most practical way they can move everybody towards it. So it's this is a unique way that they can move everybody towards being ready to hear the truth about what's been going on. Now, I have no idea how that'll be interesting. Okay, so it's saying this is a unique approach. They get that, but it's the fastest way to the results they're looking for, which is en masse, everybody going, okay, this is, I wonder if the locking down of people, so this just dropped in my head, because when you channel, things just start, so the cards are just flowing it, but it feels like what they're saying is, when you lock everybody down, it's only for so they can literally go and arrest a whole bunch of people and then come out with proof of. So I feel like there's going to be a lot with this card makes sense. There's going to be a lot of literal proof brought out that they're the ones that did this to their own people. Kind of like what happened in 9/11. People are just starting to wake up to that, even though some of us have known that for years and years. Okay, so to actually tell people that their own government and then their own medical people were responsible for what's happening to the large loss of humans, even in children and everybody, right? And then you partook in the thing, so you're part of it. Okay, so for all of that, they say it's a unique way to do it, but it's the safest, best way. And that's what I'm getting. It's like that's why they're doing it this way.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to do what they got to do in that lockdown. Why don't we ask how long do they mean by a short time?
Yes, let's
Yeah, because it's like, okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, we've been hearing this from Juan O'Savin's been preparing us for a long time about this.
He really has. Yeah, he really has.
He's been working up to this. Like he's as much as, saying this, what they're saying. And if anyone wants to fill in, like what they're feeling, like what that's really meaning, please in the comments below, let us know.
Yeah, please do.
Now you're going to have this up on your channel too, right?
Yeah,
Catherine?
we'll put it up on both. So you'll be on your Sending Ravens, won't it? I'll put all the links to that as well, and on mine.
Great, and I'll do likewise. Okay, so we've got Queen of Swords and the 10. The 4. Okay, now I'm getting something else too. It's still one of the ways. There could be 2 or 3 other ways they could go about it, but it's one of the things being considered. Okay, so that's interesting. So when we ask about maybe how can we get it to be something else? Interesting. Okay. Not really getting a time frame here. And so a little over a month. So 5 weeks. And this is my month card. So I'm thinking a month or a little over. If I was reading a client's on timing, I would say that.